Don't blow this 3-0 lead.
This is game
This
6
is like
right
you
here.
have the 3-0 lead.
I said Philly in 6. It's right here.
Okay.
I've been waiting for this.
Okay.
I think Philly closes it out too.
All right, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it right now.
We'll talk about it now. Sixers, they were up 3-0 against the Raptors, and the Raptors have come back. They won 2 games in a row. Game 6 is in Toronto. Now, 14 teams have won 2 games after trailing 0-3, and the Raptors would become the 4th team ever to force 7 games after trailing 3-0 since the 2003 Blazers versus the Mavericks. So this hasn't been done in 19 years. This is what they're about to do.
Insane.
So this is an insane, remarkable achievement, even if they don't pull it out. Now, I'm just going to say this. I originally picked Toronto in this series. Sixers look dominant. I thought this series should be 3-2. I didn't think the Sixers should have got off to a 3-0 lead. Now, I think what's really helped Toronto, like just flat out, is Fred VanVleet being out.
It's crazy you're going to say that, but I'm not gonna frown.
Scotty Barnes now being the point guard and them going to a lineup where everybody is 6'5" or taller, that length and size has really bothered Philadelphia. And Fred VanVleet, although he is a pesky defender, he did get hunted down on mismatches because he is short in stature. And he's a player that has been injured, frankly, since the All-Star break, and he hasn't fully recovered from that. And he's a volume shooter. He attempts 10 threes a game. If it's not hitting, are you driving to the basket? Are you doing that enough? He just wasn't doing enough of that.
And you said we saw that in game 3, 100%.
It's really, I think, on Embiid is fine. Toronto has been trapping and collapsing on Embiid more and more.
You don't think the ligament thing's real?
I think it's real.
I mean, it said that he's going to have surgery.
I think what's happening is that Toronto is starting to trap Embiid. They're starting to double team him whenever he gets the ball. And Toronto's basically saying, we don't trust your players. We know Tyrese Maxey had that game-1 explosion. He's been silent since. Tobias Harris will let him beat us. And James Harden isn't the same player. James Harden in the series is shooting 32% from the field. And for the 5 games, he shot under 40% from the field in total. Now, I look at the Sixers, and does this feel like they are about to blow this? It does. James Harden, for his career, has been a player who has been notoriously known for these types of collapses in the playoffs. Doc Rivers, their head coach, he is a coach who has been notoriously known for 3-1 collapses in the playoffs. He is the only coach in NBA history to blow 3-1 leads, and he might become the first one to blow a 3-0 lead. And I think what puts the cherry on top of this entire thing is that Nick Nurse, remarkable quote after down 3-0. What he said, complete poise, and it was like he was fortune telling that, well, we're down 3-0, but if we win a game, we're down 3-1, and that's been done before. So that type of confidence he instilled in his team just with that answer. You're going to Game 6 in Toronto, knowing how tough that crowd, that fan base is.
And you're picking Philly?
It's tough.
You just spoke everything that is facts.
It's tough to make a prediction on this because I look at Philly and I'm like, Embiid is going to get me at least a game. The MVP, who a lot of people have as the MVP, is going to get me at least out this series. I think they're losing to the Heat next round, easily. But Embiid, who's an MVP, at least get me one of these games. He should do that.
I think Philly wins in 7. I think
I respect
Embiid.
that.
I agree with you. Embiid may not get 6, but they no way in hell he's going to lose in 7 in Philly. It's just too much. And you're right. Defensively, they've stepped it up. They've been amazed. They've been a lot healthier. I went and did a little bit of research. Trent Jr., he's not sick anymore. Dad Young isn't hurt anymore. So they've been extremely healthy now. Even though Fred VanVleet, obviously, he missed some times. But like you said, now
they beat Philly in the regular season without Fred.
Yeah, now they can throw out that 6'5" and up lineup defensively. Now you can put Trent Jr. and Tyrese. Now you can play a bigger, more physical style. Fred VanVleet, shout out to him, but he's just being that small, can't do it.
And give credit to Scotty Barnes. Barely was able to walk in that game 3 and was able to
amazing.
And that's another example about that ties into
that
Simmons,
gritty facts.
But I think
Scotty came in and played.
I think Philly gets it in 7, but if Embiid doesn't win Game 7, we need to have a conversation about him. You need to have a serious conversation.
You beat me to the punch. That is so facts because we're here talking about Harden. We should be talking about Embiid. We need to have it
because it's not this. This will be the second time which he's had his game in his home court and he's lost. So we need to have a conversation about him. I think we need to end that conversation with Doc Rivers. I don't even know how the hell he got on the top 15 coaches of the year list, an all-time list. Mm-hmm. Terrible, but we need to definitely have a conversation. Because I think in Game 7, Philly will come out with the win. But like you said, they're going to have to play Miami next. And Jimmy Butler looks amazing. Miami's defense looks ridiculous. And I know people like to disrespect Atlanta. They're not that good, but they're a high-powered offensive team. And Miami just locked them down pretty badly. So that's going to be a tough series. They need to get out of this one, but I think Embiid gets it in 7. So I'm going to go with Embiid in 7.
The reason why I have my worries about Embiid, he has a torn ligament on his right thumb. If it was the left hand, we could have a conversation. It's not a shooting hand. He has this torn ligament on his right thumb, his shooting dominant hand. And we've seen where, yes, he's having decent shooting performances, but he's not the aggressive Joel Embiid that we have seen earlier in this series. He had a 33-point per game. He had a 33-point game. He had a 30-point per game. He had 30 points in 2 games early in the series when they went up 3-0. Game 1 was kind of a wash. He really didn't have to do much. And then we saw in Game 4, the injury started to take a toll on him when Toronto was able to take control. And then this most recent game, Embiid just was not the aggressor that he needed to be. And we've seen James Harden be inconsistent, especially these last 2 games where he scored 22 in Game 4, but in Game 5, he was basically a non-factor. And Tyrese Maxey, who was great in Game 1, and I was here on their next show giving him praise, saying that he's been one of the top young performers, has gone to what I was originally saying, how you have moments where Tyrese Maxey is a great scorer, and then the next time, it's basically like you can't even tell that he's on the court. I have my reservations, and understandably so. If Joel Embiid is not the dominant force that the Philadelphia 76ers need him to be, you cannot rely on James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, because they're too inconsistent. Do I understand what you guys are saying, that Embiid should get one? Yes. But right now, with the injury that he has, that is already confirmed, he will have surgery on it once the season is over, and we've already seen it impact his aggression. I have my concerns, especially with the way that Toronto has been playing. Siakam, where he choked it up in Game 3, him and Van Vliet had a strong chance to take that game. Both of them, their 2 best players, were mediocre at best. They had poor performances, and they're the reason why they lost Game 3. Game 4, Siakam came to play. He's the reason why they came away with that W in Game 4. And Game 5, he was just as good. I'm looking at it from this sense. They win Game 6. Now that they're at home in Toronto, momentum is completely one-sided to Toronto. Game 5 was the game for Philadelphia. Game 5 was the game for Philadelphia to win the series. At Philadelphia, they're one of the best home teams in the NBA. To lose that game, to now turn it over to Toronto, who is also one of the more dominant teams at home, the momentum has completely shifted. I don't know how we can sit here and trust Doc Rivers in a Game 7 when he's been notoriously known for blowing leads, and Nick Nurse, who has been the king of adjustments since becoming a head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Toronto is going to win this series in 7, and it will be the first 3-0 comeback.
Ooh. The thing about Embiid is I really don't think it's the lack of aggression for him. I mean, you look at all these games, 15 shots, 16 shots, 20 shots, 16 shots, 15 shots. All the shots have been relatively the same. The difference is that the Raptors are now trapping him, and they're forcing the ball out of his hands so he can't, draw fouls.
I was going to say, he's not getting to the line. What he's doing. Which part takes to his aggression.
But like you look at the first 3 games, he shot 15 shots, 16, then 20 shots. And from the free throw line, 11 free throws, 14 free throws, and 9 free throws. And they won all those games.
For sure.
In the first game, he had 19, and they won still. Game 4, to me, I thought it was terribly officiated. I thought Philadelphia should have won that game. But, I mean, Tim Donahue, who is notoriously known for betting on rigging games, rigging the outcome of games, he said that the NBA refs in the NBA, they deliberately officiate Game 4s that have one team up 3-0 differently because it generates the league more revenue. I thought Game 4, the missed calls on the Sixers. I mean, James Harden, yes, he's not the same player he once was. I am seeing him get harassed. I am seeing him get hit. I am not seeing any fouls called on James Harden. And I thought that game wasn't officiated right. And when you talk about one game being officiated in favor of the Raptors and they win that one, I mean, winning Game 5, I think is okay. The Raptors win it. I think that was a wake-up call for the Sixers. And Game 6, I think they're going to win. I think Sixers in 6 still. I think they're going to win this upcoming game.
They're going to win in Toronto? I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I think they win in Toronto.
I would be shocked.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty like, oh, shit, if they win in Toronto.
Again, it's all predicated on Joel Embiid being Joel Embiid.
The other guys, man, they got to step up.
I also think that not having Matisse Thybulle out there helps their offense when they do trap Embiid because now he can pass it to somebody who can shoot. So not having Matisse Thybulle and now having more shooters out on the floor, I think it's going to help Philadelphia. But yeah, I think they're going to win 6. I'm not buying it's going to happen.
It's a shame, man. You're on the right side of history originally.
Well, the odds are that it's not going to happen.
Of course, but sometimes you got to take a gamble. And what my eyes have been telling me is that Toronto has been the better team these last couple of games.
Good gamble.
What your eyes are telling you is that Toronto they had one game where they outplayed the Sixers.
Siakam was the best player on the court in Game 4.
Okay, but as a team, the Sixers outplayed the Raptors.
Game 3, and listen, I have to give credit to OG Anunoby, who has since Game 3 on has been tremendous for the Raptors. His efforts defensively and offensively has been hitting big-time shots. Not a strong, dominant scoring performance numbers-wise, but when you need him, he's hitting shots down the stretch, and defensively he has been fantastic since Game 3 on. That's another one we got to give credit. However, we can't look at it from the lens of solely from the fact that they went down 3-0 and Game 4, Siakam put on a performance of a lifetime. OG Anunoby was great as well. Scotty Barnes just being out there alone, his presence is felt. This team is different.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but Embiid's defense in Game 5 wasn't good.
And it's, again, this hand injury is serious.
His thumb is what's hindering his defense.
His right hand, yes, it hinders shot blocking. It hinders you wanting to put up a body.
No. I mean, Embiid's just not, he's being lazy. He was lazy on defense Game 5. That has nothing to do with your thumb. That's about moving your feet.
You wouldn't think it would, but 100% it does. It impacts your decision making.
Okay.
Miami's going to dog walk either team. So.
I'm unfortunately under the same belief. It's killing me, man. We're going to have one of the biggest pretenders in NBA history.
Ooh.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I know that they're about to go crazy with that one.